goes down the tower. Everybody tell me you can't get far on $37 in a jack guitar. Smoking in a Texas with a ham and damn, like a little cowboy. Hey folks, how y'all doing this morning? I would give y'all pay y'all a visit this morning, give y'all a little news, tell y'all what's up, what's happening, make me a little video. Um, a whole lot going on in the news, way too much for one man to cover. But, I try. I actually don't know much where to start. I'll start with local news though, I guess. Got a lot of it. Action. Doing a little bit of producing right there. But yeah, starting to put my link out there so to get more viewers going on this morning. Folks, I know you probably don't realize it, and I apologize for all the snoring this morning as all my dogs are killed out. I gave them a good bath last night and give them some good flea medicine. And there ain't no, there may be bugs on some of you mutts, but there ain't no bugs on me. That's all I know. Again, I apologize for that. See, he's out like a lion. He ain't moving. I would show him GI, but I let him sleep. I let that laying dog rest. But anyway, yeah, I'm in a battle here, folks. I'll just say there's nothing here that I make that is profit. I do not get paid for YouTube views as of yet. And last time I checked, Spreaker owed me a grand total of 11 cents. So, yeah. So, in the description this morning, I added that people who visit my website, my official website at bigalmorgan.wixsite.com/AlexMorganShow. Donate $40 to my show. I will send you a free t-shirt of your whatever size you want. You need to go over there to the site and donate. And I don't think you can leave a description like in the description where you click on the link. So if you can't do that, just send me an email to the alexmorganshow@gmail.com or bigalmorgan@live.com. You can also send it to 9183@gmail.com. But yeah, if you donate $40, I'll send you a free t-shirt. These t-shirts are costly. I've got $35 a piece in them. They haven't arrived yet, but the graphics is what made them cost so much. I really need to find me a good T-shirt company, which I can get a pretty decent deal. Pretty consecutive, but I haven't found it yet. I'm having to rely on sites like Custom Ink and you know, etc. to fulfill my T-shirt needs. Um, I'm just trying to raise a little money for the show, trying to keep a few bills paid, trying to trying to survive. Um, I'm I'm unemployed right now, and I've put in applications everywhere. I've really been trying to get a job. And it just isn't working as of yet, but I'm sure things will soon change. Just if you can't donate, that's fine. I totally understand. You're still the show anytime. Just please, at the very least, spread the articles, spread the links. Well, I'm not writing my own articles as of yet, but like the articles, share them and share my links, please. Um, if y'all don't follow me on Twitter, you can. Twitter.com/Big Al Morgan. No, my bad. It's Facebook.com/Big Al Morgan. Twitter is Twitter.com Big Al Morgan or Twitter.com Alex Morgan Show. You can follow me on any of those platforms. Instagram.com/Big Al Morgan. Um, I need your support, guys. And as I've said many times, doing a lame ass podcast is about the last thing that I want to do. But everything I do, I'm gonna put all the effort I got into it. I'm gonna do the best I can do with it, and yeah, used to I would just get on social media and post a big rant about some political BS that was going on. I don't know. It's just like I wasn't reaching enough people. I was more or less attracting um, so-called liberal friends of mine, and they were criticizing my views and blah blah blah, attacking me verbally and all this. And but one thing about it, I pretty much them SOBs weeded out, So that's about that. But another good thing, I guess, it led to the podcast. But I digress badly. I'm sorry about that. Let's move on. Got a lot to cover this morning. Um, see if I can. I wanted to show. I'll see you here in a minute after I get through this damn news. This poll right here was put out on mt.com. Poll results. Do you believe has left the United States? There have been 557 responses. 69.84% yes. 25.31% said no. 4.85% are undecided. So yeah, if you want to go over to WIMT and check out that poll, you can. Um, all I got over here. Here's one that said, "Do you approve of President Trump's job so far?" Let's see here. I'm gonna click yes, which you know I can't not agree with. So 13 readers, 6.44% yes, they do approve of President's job so far. 26.85% said no, they don't approve, and 3.01% are undecided. But again, yeah, if y'all want to go to CameraFi.com and check out those polls, I I stay pretty interested in polls. I mean, you know, they're pretty interesting. I like to know kind of what people around me are thinking and this and that. It kind of gives you, you know, a little feel of, you know, just what everybody's thinking. Good thing to have. I'd like to have more polls on my site, but I've not gotten around to it yet, folks. Right here, this article. Members of Pike County churches give back to the community. Going to go ahead and run it because I'm sure there will be an ad, as there always is on the videos of WIMT.com. I'll just sit here and talk to you for a minute while it loads. Another way you could support me, if you can't donate, I'll tell you a really good way you can support me. You can go to your mobile app store and download this app called Dice. One word, Fairy Dice. And after you download the app and it installs, use your Facebook account to sign up and sign in, and then use my promo 182090. This is an app which I've been using for a couple months now. Like anything basically that which is for sale on Amazon, you can earn through this Fairy Dice app for free. You just you watch videos, you complete surveys, like bonus offers, and you refer friends and family to get rolls. You use your rolls to roll your dice, and whichever number comes up on your dice is how many tickets each roll that you roll. And on average, I'd say the price of the products on Amazon is about 1,000 tickets per $1, something like that. So yeah, it's just a good way to earn free stuff. It's shipped free to your home. Um, Another way you could support me, which I'm not fully mastered yet, you can go over to my Facebook page and add me as a friend or follow me one, and just scroll down through my timeline and look for a big bunch of products which is been added from tripleclicks.com. They've got pretty good products. What I can tell, they're pretty cheap. But again, if you make a purchase, I will get a percentage of that, and it'll really help me pay some of these bills that are plaguing me badly right now. I'm just looking for any way to get some speed up, maybe keep moving, and get out of this rut that I'm in. For you TV, YouTube viewers, whatever, right here's the site on the TV. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff. There's even auctions. Let me see if I can find out how you can contact me on here. I don't know how you could follow. The best way I know to do it is just go to my Facebook page and look on my timeline. It's just like a big bunch of products that have been added. But moving on, let's get on with this news. Let's put on a call. That's not my show phone, or we would have a caller. I haven't given the number out. The phone lines are open. That number, if you want to call and give your thoughts or opinions on anything this morning, that number is 276-524-0047. Again, anyone's welcome to call and talk about anything that y'all want to talk about. I'd be thrilled to hear from you. I really would. I want to see this show succeed. Put my heart and soul into it, and yeah, I just want to see it succeed. Let's get into this article now. Members of Pike County churches give back to the community.
Projects and even landscaping. More than 100 volunteers from Pike County churches are hard at work to make a difference in their community. Love Loud is a yearly week-long event for students and adults. Organizers say it is all to show community that they care.
So this is an opportunity right here where we live to impact our neighbors, our community, and just to do some good work to let people know that Jesus loves them and that our churches care about the community.
Volunteers will continue to wash cars for free through Friday at the First Baptist Church of Pikeville. We have more on WYMT.com.
There you go, folks. Car wash at some of the Pike County churches. That is not in my area, but it may be in your area. Want to go? It's for a good cause. So, it's also from WYMD. It was the article I was talking about earlier when I first started this broadcast. I was telling you that I had an article that was considered national news, but it was in the local local website. So yeah, give us a few minutes here to play out, and we will get right to the video. Something that could be fun. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but there's live chat on Spreaker. Anyone who's friends with them an invite, and you can live chat show. If anyone ever wants to do that, just add me on Facebook and message and tell me you want added live chat, and I will be more than happy to do that for you. I think this video is about ready to play here. At least I thought so.
Continue to respond to California's state-funded travel ban. California's Attorney General issued the ban laws here in Kentucky that he discriminated against the LGBT. Now Kentucky's governor and Attorney General are getting involved, and the ongoing feud between the two continues. Tonight, Tanner Hesterberg talked to both.
Where's our Attorney General in calling out his fellow Attorney General on absurd?
The name calling, the tension between Governor Matt Bevin and General Andy Beer appears to be growing to Kentucky.
They may not want people to travel on business to Kentucky. I'm going to be on business to California and sucking companies out of there to Kentucky. You can bet on that.
California's Attorney General added Kentucky to a list of states subject to travel restrictions because of laws that could discriminate against members of the LGBTQ community after key lawmakers passed Senate 17 aimed at securing religious freedom in public schools.
Anytime we pass legislation, we have to look at the intended and the unintended consequences. And if we don't foresee that, and it causes a major economic impact, then shame on us.
Bashir did not explicitly say whether he agreed or disagreed with California's travel ban. However, he did say we'll know kids when school starts back this fall.
We're going to learn a lot about the impact of the bill.
Bashir wants California's AG to reconsider his decision. Bevin predicts the ban won't last long.
To walk that thing back, it's a silly idea. It was meant to make headlines.
As another issue highlights the rift between these two state leaders. In Frankfurt, Tanner Hesterberg, WE Mountain News.
California bans state travel to 7 other states, including Tennessee.
I don't see how they can do that, folks.
Hey, get to BruceWaltersKia.com and check out the Summers on Us sales event.
This is the United States, and we're free to travel from state to state without any type of identification, without any visas, without any passports, anything like that. I don't see how they can do that, and for them to even talk about something so outlandish is far beyond me, because this is a free country and I'll go where I want to go, and I'm sure Californians will go where they want to go. You tell somebody that they can't do something, and I'd say about 70 to 80% of them are going to do it or die. You know, that's just the way people's minds work. If they think they can't do something, then they just want to do it that much more. I don't see how, like, somebody's sexuality or their sexual orientation would prevent them from coming to the state of Kentucky. I'll tell you what, it's a it's a dominant Christian state. We got a lot of Christians in our community. Um, they're folks that live their lives the way they believe that they should live them, and they don't discriminate though. They they don't um, they don't bother anybody that they don't see eye to eye with or have any right there. I want to see if I can find anything else on this. Sit right there, folks. I'll let you know what I come. Right here's about 3 articles. This is from WBIR TV. I don't know where that station is exactly. There's a video loading up. It's added 4 states alongside Tennessee travel ban list for blatant terms listed in a resolution lawmakers drafted in 2016. California's AB 1887 imposes state-funded and state-sponsored travel bans to any states that pass legislation that deems discriminatory to groups of people, particularly against LGBT people. The ban was passed initially in response to North Carolina's quote bathroom bill unquote that required transgender people to use the bathroom corresponding to gender on their birth certificate. California imposed a travel ban against Tennessee that took effect on January 1st in response to a statute signed by Governor Bill Haslam in 2016 to reject patients on religious belief. The American Counseling Association claimed the bill was discriminatory to the LGBT community. Governor Haslam says the statute continued provisions that required those for their client and another counselor.
You changed my life. I had this film, make these and share them.
Well, California added to its travel ban list for terms listed of a resolution from 2016. You can see those on your screen there. The resolution bans state-funded travel in any state that passes legislation that California deems discriminatory. Tennessee is one of several states originally on the list, and against Tennessee took effect on January 1st. This was a response to a statute signed by Governor Haslam last year that allows mental health counselors to reject patients on religious beliefs.
I was trying to see where I left off because he quit where I did. I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry. Must have read. See what we got up next. This article's on realclearpolitics.com. I'm not sure what the article is yet. I'm waiting on it to load. CNN anchor, Trump putting journalists in danger. Quote, declaration of war on media, unquote, has, quote, emboldened, in, quote, war zones. We'll just watch this video. Give it just a second here to load, folks. Just a moment.
The fact of the matter is, we're not fake media. We're going to do a job. Respect your job, we respect yours. And if you're not going to respect us, we need to speak up.
Hey, Chris, at what point does it become dangerous? Not just talking about danger in terms of terror fabric, dangerous journalists get hurt. Because I can tell you, we're going overseas.
Folks, if you haven't been over to cnnleaks.com, listen to any of these tapes, you don't know how outrageous that they haven't listened to these tapes. In fact, I have a video on for you right here very shortly.
War zones. You know, people are emboldened by the actions of this administration, emboldened the all-out sort of declaration of war on them. If I'm getting it in the Chris, I can only imagine what someone like you is dealing with. At what point does this become reckless or irresponsible, Chris?
I mean, I don't want to say we're past that point. I will say this, Clarissa. I think it is already dangerous what the Trump administration is doing. Ryan's point, they are trying to take an mistake, or not even a mistake, and turn it into the norm as opposed to the rule as the exception, which is because that willfully misleading, frankly. And that Dave Erthold, who was my colleague for a very long time and doesn't toot his own horn enough, the idea that he was attacked for doing what he did had nothing to do with the quality of journalism he was doing. It was 100% about that it was a bad story for Donald Trump. In Donald Trump's world, the media is judged by you are good if you write things that are Trump. Objectively, it is not our job to be liked by Donald Trump. It is not our job to report the news. Sean Spicer said this, Sarah said it yesterday. Well, you guys, it's important. Well, I mean, I do think the
How did they
Russian
find out about
hacking
that
of an
news?
election,
So-
the Russian hacking of an election is important news.
Right.
It's not a, we can debate collusion. They're right. There's no evidence of that. But this is about the broader hacking of election. In Dave's case, it was about a charitable organization that didn't give to charity for the man who was running the. It doesn't have to do with the fact that Donald Trump is a. I guarantee you a million times over, because I know Dave personally, if it was the Hillary Clinton Foundation doing the same thing, he would have done the same reporting.
Right. That's exactly
what's maddening
right.
when you're watching.
Right.
Well,
So,
and
Brian, go ahead.
to your point earlier that you were asking about safety, think about that. How many reporters have died for the cause? I've been jailed. There are 12 of us to protect the First Amendment. There are people who have been beaten. There have been people who have been threatened. Our newspapers, after Donald Trump's election, we've gotten threats from both the far left and the. They are emboldened. It is dangerous. And the fact of the matter is, it is insulting to the memory of the people whose lives for the cause, for providing information to the public, then be told that you are fake media and what you're doing is false. And quite frankly, every one of us should stand up against that, because it is undermining the First Amendment. It is dangerous, making it dangerous for reporters. You are absolutely right. There's going to come a time, and it won't be going to be too far off, I surmise, when we're going to see that a reporter is going to face physical harm because of this.
Well, God
That's
forbid,
not too hard to
nobody
understand.
wants to see that. It certainly wouldn't make the situation any better. And I'll tell you what, I'm in no rush to change positions with Clarissa Ward, but I'll take on a war of words, even with the President of the United States, any day.
They're so funny. Oh my God. Watch these, folks. What you're about to see is someone undercover talking to a CNN employee, asking them about Russia and Trump. Listen to this.
Then why is CNN constantly Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you'd think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
People the freedom to choose whether or not they want to buy this grossly expensive volunteer now. They choose not to do so. The next year, it's 10% of baseline, which means the second year already premiums are coming down by the third year.
They want to keep digging.
Hold on,
Honestly,
let me back it up.
You'd think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
Bullshit. I mean, it's bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof of it, but they want to keep digging. And I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me. Like, you have no smoking gun, you have no proof.
And the CEO of CNN said in our intern, good job everybody covering the climate accord, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Then why is CNN constantly like Russia this? But honestly, you'd think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
It's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof.
You're not going to give you a question.
Can you state
You are fake news.
Because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I'd like to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
Even if Russia was trying to swing an election, we try to swing their elections. We're CIA doing shit all the time.
Fake news. We start our American Pravda investigations inside America's media with Part 1, CNN. Our goal is to expose the real motivations behind the decision-making process at our dominant media corporations. Fake news. One story has monopolized President Trump's time in office like no other, especially on CNN. Russia. In fact, since the inauguration, CNN has mentioned Russia on their air 16,000 times. So we sent our undercover reporters inside CNN to understand why, and to determine if CNN even believes that the story is even real. You're not going to believe what you're about to hear, or maybe you will. I'd like to introduce you to CNN supervising producer John Bonifield.
So you believe like the Russia thing's a little crazy, right?
Even if Russia was right, you try to our CIA doing shit all the time, like we're out there trying to manipulate, like, because you know you play the game and you play it right. But you didn't play it right.
Then why is he constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
In the month of May, CNN's ratings were significantly higher than they were the year before. The Russia story and Trump have made CNN millions.
Because of,
So, my boss, I shouldn't say this, my boss, he's like, I just want you to know what we're up against here. And he goes, just to give you some context, President Trump pulled out of the climate accords, and for a day and a half we covered the climate accords, and the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good accords, we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
the CEO?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So the climate accords, a day or so, we're moving.
Bonifield says CNN's demanded that his news back to the radio Russia is for CNN. Was that an editorial call or a business call?
So it's, I mean, I understand it's all ratings, right?
It's a business. People are like, the media has like an ethical, but all the nice cutesy little ethics that used to get talked about in journalism school, you're like, that's adorable. That's adorable. Yeah, this is business. Especially cable news. You know, cable news isn't the New York Times, and it's not even like NBC News. It's like cable news is getting $1 million. So, like they gotta do what they gotta do to make their money. And so I love the news business, but
I find it so
I'm
fascinating.
very cynical, but at the same time, most of my colleagues. Yeah, not alone.
Bonifield has worked for CNN as journalist and producer for nearly 15 years. He gave us a tour of CNN's newsroom. He gave us a window into the editorial bias and anti-Trump agenda of the organization.
I think that there are a lot of liberal CNN viewers who want to see Trump really get scrutinized, and I think if we would have behaved that way with President Obama and scrutinized everything that he was doing with as much scrutiny as we apply to Donald Trump, I think our viewers would have been turned off. I think they would have think we were attacking him. But I think our viewers reigns. I think there's just a lot of them, and
so Trump's good for business, you're saying?
Trump is good for business right now.
But honestly, you'd think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof investigation going. I don't know. If you were finding something, here would know about it. The way these leaks happen, they leak it. They leak. If it was something really good, it would leak.
Yeah. It would have leaked before voting, I would say. If anything was still there, it would have came out already.
Yeah, leaks, leaking, and there's so many great leaks, and it's amazing, and I just refuse to believe that if they had something really good like that, that wouldn't leak, because we have all these other leaks, so I just feel like they don't really have it, but they want to keep digging.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me, like, you have no smoking gun, you have no real proof.
No real proof, he says, and that speaks volumes about today's mainstream media. Bonifield says CNN loves the Russia story not because it's true, but because people want the narrative in order to get ratings. Their enthusiasm to report false news is getting the better of them. On Saturday, CNN imposed strict internal restrictions on all future Russia stories after they had to delete and retract a story that was poorly sourced. And yesterday, 3 CNN staffers were victims of fake news. So where does that leave us? The American people are fed up with fake news. And the mainstream media, they cannot trust. It's market pressures, managers without integrity, newsrooms without courage, journalists who don't even leave their desks. The very purpose of journalism is to expose the world for what it is, not to create false political narratives in order to make money. The American people are frustrated because they have nowhere left to go to get actual information. This is just part one of this series. We have so much more that we will bring you on video as our American propagations continue. Every television network, newspaper, and social media company is now on notice. You're being watched. They're coming after you. And while the whole broken, rotten media machine may not come tumbling down, maybe they'll wake up.
There you have it. It's all for ratings. It's all to push this false narrative on the American people to get them to distrust President Trump. And no doubt they've had it planned on evidence the whole time. But thus far they've been unsuccessful. Let's listen to Sarah Huckabee Sanders' White House briefing. This was 2 days ago, actually.
I think anybody will question whether or not Secretary Perry's a high guy, that's for sure. Great guy, wrong football team, but that's probably for another day. On top of the Energy Week and everything that Secretary Perry and other cabinet members have on the agenda for that, we've got a full schedule of events and actions from the President's cabinet today on every human trafficking to assistance funding for small communities. This morning, Ivanka Trump joined Secretary Tillerson at a State Department event facing the 2017 trafficking in person. Said this morning, the human rights issue that affects an important tool for the problem. For the site, I encourage you guys to take a look. Also this morning, the Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary Shulkin hosted a meeting of experts for a robotics and healthcare roundtable. The VA is embarking on the largest modernization effort in recent history. A robust program with the department announced a $406 million, further demonstrating the Trump administration's commitment to all Americans. In states like which nearly $40 and Nevada, which received $20.2 million, these investments are important to the federal government's role as land manager and neighbor to local communities, including many that play a big role in feeding and powering a nation. Many of these small communities in states like Nevada are also being hit particularly hard as healthcare insurance premiums rise and insurers flee their Obamacare exchanges. Because of the people who have no choice for themselves or their families, that it's so critical that the Senate votes to repeal and replace Obamacare. Every day a new announcement is made that puts health insurance out of reach for thousands of Americans. Insurers are hiking up rates or leaving markets entirely. Today, the Vice President is on the Hill to attend the Senate policy lunch and hold additional meetings, and he'll be hosting senators at dinner tonight in his residence. Both the President is fully engaged with the Senate and are helping to create a consensus bill over the finish line. Yesterday, the President talked extensively with several Republican members over the weekend, including Paul and Johnson. He spoke to Senator McConnell this morning, and he's invited all Republican senators to the White House later this afternoon to continue these discussions. The President is optimistic that Republicans will live up to the promise that they've been making to the American people for 7 years by repealing and replacing Obamacare. I know you guys are a little bit tired since we've been here a while. You want to skip on the questions? Figured it was worth a shot, and we'll take your questions. Charlie?
Recently, Breitbart News received a
CNN story, and it was fact-checked, deleted, and the editors responsible were fired, as well as the network apologized for the story. The targets of the story accept the apology. The president went on Twitter this morning and repeated that CNN is fake news. Why isn't there response?
I don't know that it's that the response isn't good enough for the president. I think it's the kind of barrage of fake news directed at this president probably that has garnered a lot of his frustration. You point to that report. There are multiple other instances where that outlet that you referenced has been repeatedly wrong and had to point that out or be corrected. There's a video circulating now, whether it's accurate or not. I don't know, but I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it. I think if it is accurate, I think it's a disgrace to all of media, a place where if they to report the news, then that's a dangerous place for America. And I think that is the place that certain outlets are going, particularly for the purpose of spiking ratings. And if that's coming directly from the top, I think that's even more scary and certainly more disgraceful. And I hope that that's not the direction we're headed. I hope that outlets that have continued to use either sometimes stories with no sources at all. We've been going Russia-Trump hoax for the better part of a year now with no evidence of anything. Things like the success at the VA barely get covered for an hour at a time. Story gets covered day out, and I think I'm frankly looking for something better, something more, and I think they deserve something better.
Foreign trying to influence the presidential election.
It's accepted they're not report on news, something there. And I think that there are a lot of things happening in this world that, frankly, a lot of people would like to hear about. Whether it's job growth, whether it's deregulation, whether it's tax reform, health care. I think a lot of those things deserve a lot. You know, I think that we should take a really good look at what we are focused on, actually accurate, and it's honest. If we make the slightest mistake, slightest word is off, it is just an absolute tirade room. But news outlets get to go on day after day and name sources, use stories without sources, have, you mentioned the Scaramucci story where they had to have reporters resign.
Come on, you're inflaming everybody right here, right now with those words. This administration has done that as well. Why in the name of heavens? Any one of us, right, are replaceable. Any one of us, if we don't get it right, the audience has the opportunity to turn the channel or not read us. You have been elected to serve for 4 years at least. There's no option other than that. We're here to ask you. We're here to provide the answer. Just did is inflammatory to people all over the country. Once again, the police else out here, everybody in this room is only trying to do their job.
I disagree. First of all, I think it's been inflamed. The dishonesty that often takes place by the news media. I think it is outrageous for you to accuse me of inflaming a story when I was simply trying to respond to his question. Kevin.
Thank you, Sarah. Just rapid fire, because I know we've had a bit of a briefing here. Would it be fair to, let me ask you this way, how would you describe the president's mood on health care? Concerned, still encouraged, and what did you make of the CEO score? If you talked to him about that. And then secondly, I want to ask you about the warning to Syria. What's made, not just to the world community, but also to the American people who see headlines like that, and they wonder, are we hurtling headlong into a major situation in that part of the world?
I'll start with health care first. Obviously, be optimistic. The president is committed, as he said, and all the repeatedly, to repealing and replacing, working with the House, making sure we get the best bill. For us, it's never been about the timeline, but about getting the best piece of legislation that helps the most Americans. And that's what we're continuing to do day in, day out. That's the reason the president has asked members of the Senate to come here today, so that they can talk through that, so that they can figure out the best way to move the ball forward. That's the goal of the meeting this afternoon, and that's the goal of the administration. In terms of the CBO score, as we said yesterday, the CBO is a budget office, and while it does very well at times on budget, whether it's revenue or spending, I don't think it does a great job, and I think the administration's been clear and consistent that we don't always agree that it does a great job predicting coverage. I think we saw that given their history, they predict Obamacare, there were 4 million people that were part of that. There were only 11, and that number is dropping every day. So I don't have a lot of confidence in that number on part, but I do think that places where they do a good job again are on the revenue side, and the CBO, they pointed out that it would cut deficits by $300 billion and cut taxes by $700 billion. Those are good things, and I think when they focus on the budget side, that's probably a good thing. And I think you had a second part, sorry.
The warning to Syria, what's your message to the international community and also to the American people who may be concerned when they read a headline like that they're thinking we may be hurtling toward a situation that involves the U.S. in that part of the world?
I think that the message from the statement yesterday was extreme. I don't think it was a gray area. It was pretty black and white. Major.
Can you explain, because you went on the record this morning, what was that led to that statement? Were members of the team at the State of Independence taken by that statement, fully involved? Can you give us an idea of how the process internally worked to deliberate that statement and then create the statement for public release?
I can tell you that leadership from the State Department, DOD, DIA, members of the within the building were processed from the very beginning and fully aware.
From the very beginning, was that yesterday or?
I'm not going to walk through the process of a timeline on how that was released for intelligence purposes.
You just said you accept or find valid budget side.
Yeah, they're a budget.
Yesterday.
They're a budget office, and I think on the initial numbers that we saw from that, the cutting of the deficit, cutting of taxes, I think that that's where they've been more accurate as well. It's not just like I've decided that, but historically that's where they've been.
Of the public looking at this, would this administration accept the budget and revenue numbers that were published yesterday as generally speaking valid and worth taking seriously?
I would think so. I think in large, yes. Jennifer.
Google and one economic forecast. So European officials have slapped Google with this $2.7 million fine. Is the White House cool with European regulators hitting this company with a federal trade commission hasn't accused them of, anti-competitive behavior?
At this point, I don't have anything for us to weigh in on the regulations of a private company, but if anything changes, I'll let you know. Kristen?
On the International Monetary Fund, so they lowered their forecast for U.S. economic growth down to 1%, which is lower than what the president has been hoping for. Could you share some reaction on what you think about this new IMF forecast?
I haven't had a chance to dig into that, but we'll certainly circle back with you on it. Jim Stenson?
You called up Sarah.
Oh, sorry. Then let me take Kristen. I did call on her, and I'll come back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If Syria is poised to launch another chemical weapons attack, isn't that an acknowledgement that the airstrikes in April didn't work, Sarah?
Look, I think that our goal every day is to do what we can to protect life in all forms, and go forward in defeating ISIS, defeating all efforts of terrorism, and I think the statement yesterday do that.
How will a paper statement work, though, when it didn't dissuade Bashar al-Assad?
I don't know that it, based on what we know at this point.
And just to follow very quickly, was there a principals meeting, a deputies meeting before that statement was issued by Sean Spicer last night?
It was a routine meeting that took place yesterday. I don't believe that there was anything beyond that yesterday. Jim?
Two questions, just like given the news about
letting NBC sectors.
given the news of CNN's story about Anthony Scaramucci, does the White House believe there are other Russia-related stories from major outlets that have not been retracted
and are just as false. The February 14th story in the New York Times about collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, which James Comey called into question, which many believe the CNN story was based on.
I would have to look back at that specific story. There have been many that I would probably disagree quite a bit with. I think you could take it pretty straightforward that this administration disagrees with all of the stories that claim that the president and his campaign colluded with Russia in any capacity. So I think he's been extremely clear that he believes that's a hoax and certainly something that's true and didn't take place. And any story related to that, you would, I think, find frustration from this team here.
Under CNN retraction, does the White House now believe the news media have an obligation to review stories on the Russian Trump and retract questionably sourced stories on the topic?
I'm sorry? I'm not following them.
Do you believe that the media should go back and look at anonymously sourced stories on Russia and Trump and, maybe start a review process and retract where necessary?
I think that'd be a great idea. I certainly don't think that we would get arguments from us if there were outlets on stories. But I also think that, and I certainly think that's what we strive to do today. And hopefully that's a goal. I know it is of many, and hopefully it will continue to be of not just the news media, but everybody involved in the process to continue to do better, to continue to strive for excellence, and to continue to deliver the best we can for the American people.
Okay, accept the military calculations of the CBO, but not the projections on how many people would be injured. What about their projections on what would happen to premium deductibles? Is that correct or not?
I think they said yesterday that the premiums would go down roughly 30 by 2020. That seems, based on what we've done internally, pretty consistent. So
they would go way up.
No, but I think in general and largely they predicted that they'd go down 30% by 2020.
Okay, and then another question. The president promised that his health care plan would not have cuts to Medicaid. Much money to qualify for Medicaid. In other words, that's just too high an income to be getting Medicaid.
I don't know about a specific level breakdown. Any groups over here today to talk through. We know there's going to be changes. We know there's going to be amendments. The thing that the president was committed to is making sure that anybody that currently receives Medicare, that's not Medicaid, that's not touched, and that is consistent with what's in the bill, and that'll continue to be fighting for.
Does he believe, you said the House bill was too mean, does he believe that the Senate bill is less mean, as mean, more mean? Like, what does he think?
I honestly haven't asked him whether or not he thinks the Senate bill, the mood of it yet, but I'll check on that tomorrow and get back to you. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a good day.
Talk about CNN, Sarah. Can I ask you a question?
That was Sarah Huckabee Sanders in a White House press briefing on the 27th of June. She handled that situation very well. She kept pointing out that it was mainstream media's own fault that they trust of both the people and the White House, and she really gained my respect in that press conference. Let's watch this.
Assad that his regime is going to pay a, quote, heavy price if they do it again, that being a chemical weapons attack like we have seen in the past. CNN's Barbara Starr live for us at the Pentagon. She has breaking details. What can you tell us, Barbara?
Good morning, Brianna. It was an extraordinary late-night statement from the White House. No follow-up so far this morning that has got everybody's attention from Washington to Moscow to Damascus. The statement, let me quickly read part of it, and I quote, "The United States has identified potential preparations for another chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime that would likely result in the mass murder of civilians, including children." Now, the White House also saying if the Assad regime goes through with this, it will pay a heavy price. Moscow, a short time ago, the Kremlin firing back, calling this statement unacceptable. The Kremlin has that Russia is opposed to the use of chemical weapons. All of this coming, oddly enough, as Syrian state media today put out images of Assad meeting with wounded troops in Syria, sort of the Syrian propaganda machine that the world has come to know so well, gearing up yet again. So look, where are we on this? What could the intelligence be that we're talking about? Last time, it was a combination of communications, intercept, and overhead imagery that led the U.S. to be certain in its view that Syria was behind that chemical weapons attack in April. We will have to see how all this sorts out and what the White House is willing to say about what it knows. Chris?
All right, Barbara Stone, is a big deal no matter where the intel is coming from. Thank you very much. We're going to hear a lot of political comparisons to President Obama and his red. Don't get caught up in that jazz. What matters right now is what would this mean for the United States if another attack like this happens? And why is the White House showing its hand so soon? Our panel will take this on next.
The White House issuing an unusual statement overnight saying that Syria is preparing another chemical weapons attack. Warning Bashar al-Assad that they're going to pay a heavy price if he follows through. And also joining our conversation now is retired Lieutenant General Burt Link. Okay, so General, I want to read what the White House put out overnight. It says the United States has identified potential preparations for an attack by the Assad regime that would likely result in mass murder of civilians, including innocent children. The activities are similar to preparations the regime made before its April 4th, 2017 chemical weapons attack. Goes on to say that the United States is in Syria to eliminate ISIS. If, however, Mr. Assad conducts another mass murder attack using weapons, he and his military will pay a heavy price. Why say this now? What is the White House, in your estimation, trying to achieve?
I'm not sure, Brianna, other than a warning. It seems to go against, as Chris said earlier, what candidates said on the campaign, our enemies, what we were going to do next. And this is very different from the last attack in Syria. Then it was a reaction strike. Now we're talking about the potential for prevention of a strike based on whatever kind of intelligence, whether it's human intelligence on the ground saying this is going to happen, overhead imagery that's showing planes being loaded, or some type of communication that we're overhearing. So all of those things are a little bit different than that reactionary strike a few weeks ago. It causes some changes. Central Command claimed last night they had not heard anything about a potential strike. So we're talking also about the challenges associated with communication and collaboration on a whole approach.
All right, let's say they're right. General, quick follow-up, and please, Chris, David, weigh in as you see fit. Let's say they're right. They have good intel, just like they did last time, and an opportunity to see this coming. What are the Americans' options in terms of what they would do if this line is crossed? And we should remind people of what the effects of that chemical attack on the citizens there last time. Put up the pictures of it. You have to remind the urgency of doing this to people. You're going to see children. You're going to see their parents in different states of distress. Very little capability on the ground there to help them. So, General, what's your insight on that part?
Well, what you're going to see, Chris, is either another TLAM, Tomahawk strike, which is unmanned, or you're going to see some type of aircraft strike that will go in, along with hopefully some diplomatic effort. All of those things in a preemptive strike after it's have all sorts of changes of capabilities. Because in that TLAM strike, remember, we gave the president gave a little bit of warning before he conducted that strike. It was in a couple of hours. Right now, you now have a warning where Russian air defense systems can be turned on, people can prepare, bases can be unmanned. So you have a whole lot different perspective. And plus, if you send a manned strike in, you would have to send in not only the bombers, but you would also have to send in the jammers to make sure those air defense systems, which are pretty prevalent across the area, don't get turned on.
What are your thoughts when you see this warning?
Well, this is really fascinating because this is 180 degrees opposed to, in a sense, how President Trump, as a candidate, said he would conduct U.S. foreign policy. He was very critical of past Republicans for being too active in the Middle East and, in a sense, being too active in trying to be the dominant power in the Middle East. He talked about beating ISIS. He talked about being early to handle our enemies, but he very back to President Obama, talked about taking a lighter approach and not getting as involved. And what we have here is an administration now that is not just sort of reasserting American influence in the Middle East in terms of our actions, but if you look at the warning that came from Ambassador Haley, saying to Iran and Russia, this includes you, this is another interesting dichotomy where the president often coddling Vladimir Putin in Russia, but his top lieutenants and advisors sending a message that we're not going to put up with intransigence, especially in this region where Russia has really been competing with us and trying to push us out. So to me, that's what's most interesting about the threatened strike. And it could be a message to Russia in the sense of seeing what they plan to do about something to avoid action by us and assert, in a sense, our going back the region where Iran has been moving in and Russia has been standing pat in Syria.
So, Chris, you see Stark plus minus. General, correct me if this is an improper analysis, but on the plus side, you come out early, you say if you do this, you cross this line, you have trouble. They know America's going to maybe Assad thinks better of whatever plan U.S. intelligence suggests he must do. The negative side is once a line is crossed, now you must act, must in quotes, because things can get complicated. How do you see it?
Well, two things. First, I think that so much of what Donald Trump does, what motivates him, is policy conviction than to undo or do things related to, particularly as it relates to this red line. Obviously, Trump viewed that, and many Republicans viewed it as sort of the inefficacy, easy for me to say, of Barack Obama's foreign policy, that he would do things and then not follow up on them. The strikes in Syria done earlier this year, Donald Trump viewed as sort of a way to say, I'm not that guy. I think this is a way to say, I'm not going to be that guy, so be no illusion. The thing that is hard, and the Trump administration does this in both foreign and domestic policy, and the general mentioned this, is there's not a whole lot of context or case here. It sort of comes out of nowhere. It's on a you don't have a coordinated response. There's a little bit of confusion as to what specifically is the threat here. There's a little bit of confusion as to this is a president who said we shouldn't warn of our tactics. We shouldn't reveal our tactics. So a lot of things in which they just act, and then it's not clear that the case behind it is being made. That said, I do think that Donald Trump wants the world to know, David touched on this, he wants the world to know that there is a different sheriff in town. In his view, Obama's threats were largely meaningless to the world, and this will not be. I think, speaking, this is in keeping with that.
General, when you look at this, though, this is something that clearly, and we're going to learn more about this today, sends a message. Ultimately, whatever the president does, do you see it as a data on this question of what is the Trump doctrine?
It is a data point on that, Brianna. It's also a data point on what is the Trump strategy. But it's also what is the data point for the Trump strategy according to the world. Because we can't take this part of the Middle East in a vacuum, especially with the players involved. There are things going on all over the world, in Europe, in Ukraine, where Russia is involved, where Russia has given some warnings to the United States about what they will and will not accept. If we're going to draw the line and then react to it, that's good, but let's have a strategy for what the end state is. And what I'd further what Chris said, yes, it was announced late last night, and that was about 6 o'clock in Syria, 6 a.m. in Syria. So they now have had an entire day to think about it while we're just beginning to talk about it here on the East Coast.
All right, General, thank you so much.
I've also got an article that I wanted to read. that went along with that, kind of. Mm. Um, this article right here is just showing the drop in CNN's ratings. Not sure that no, my TV viewers can't even make it out. But yeah, since the whole CNN, their total ratings have dropped, plus their prime. MSNBC's has went up a little bit, look like. HLN, they're doing okay, I guess. Along with MSNBC, I mean. I just like MSNBC though. They're biased. I guess it really depends on the show and what you watch, but yeah, you can see the bias from MSNBC if you pay very much attention at all. Articles from the Hill. CNN war with Trump gets personal. Trump's war with CNN took an even more personal turn Tuesday. The White House press briefing out a hidden camera video calling the cable news network's coverage of Russia controversy, quote, BS, unquote. The undercover video from conservative sting artist James O'Keefe named a CNN producer questioning the network's coverage and suggesting important stories had been buried to keep focus on Trump and Russia. At Tuesday's press briefing, White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders encouraged viewers to watch the O'Keefe video, calling it a, quote, disgrace to all of media, all of journalism, end quote. She took a dig at CNN President Jeff Zucker. Sensationalism and disregard for facts was, quote, come directly from the top, end quote. CNN is standing by the producer John Bonifield, who covers health and medicine from the network's headquarters in Atlanta. In a statement, the network said, quote, diversity of personnel opinion is what makes CNN strong. We welcome it and embrace it, a spokesperson told The Hill. CNN source told The Hill that the tempest over the video will not pass, saying it was recorded after an undercover conservative operative approached Bonifield, claiming to have had a history of personal hardship and asking to be into a mentoring program. Quote, it's silly. It's been spun up as something it's not, end quote, the CNN source said. Quote, he's a health unit producer in Atlanta. He has nothing to do with Washington politics or the investigative unit, end quote. The video appeared at a difficult moment for CNN, however, which was forced to retract its story alleging that one of Trump's associates had improper dealings with a Kremlin-backed bank. The episode led 3 of CNN reporters to resign and reinforced the notion among many conservatives that the network is hell-bent on taking Trump down. On Tuesday morning conference call, CNN officials, Zucker stressed that the network had, quote, play error-free ball, end quote, going forward as all their mistakes will be magnified. He's been saying it for months. It's just unfortunate because there is no more room for mess-ups, end quote, a second source at CNN told The Hill. The feud between Trump and CNN smoldering for years had already intensified before the firings and the O'Keefe video. The pits against one another, 2 men with a long history. Zucker was the head of NBC when Trump hosted his hit reality show, The Apprentice. Conservative media outlets such as Breitbart News are now alleging for Zucker's removal while Trump let the insults fly. Fake news. CNN is looking at management change now that they got falsely pushing their phony Russian stories, end quote, Trump tweeted. Ratings way down, end quote. Quote, CNN just posted its Wild Watch second quarter in history, end quote. The network's communications department shot back. Those are the facts, end quote. According to the Nielsen second quarter rating released on Tuesday, CNN is up 10% year over year in prime time and 25% overall. It's running third overall in time in cable wars behind Fox News and also NBC, the widely liberal outlet that has been a dramatic 86% spike in primetime ratings. The new round of controversy has rekindled a brief dormant cable news war between Fox News and CNN, with top talent from both outlets basking in the failing of the other. Last week, CNN anchor John King likened Fox News's Foxing to state TV. This week's Fox News anchors Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson are flooding airways with coverage of CNN controversy, returning the favor after CNN leaned into reporting of former Fox anchor Bill O'Reilly, who left the network amid a slew of sexual harassment. Quote, hey CNN, when will you fire Zucker? End quote. Hannity tweeted, quote, destroy the network with lies and very fake news, end quote. CNN has been registering small acts of protest against the administration by focusing on Trump's treatment of the press, with White House Chief Correspondent Jim Acosta leading the charge and demanding more on-camera briefings. The network sent a courtroom sketch artist in do a rendering of White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer at an off-camera briefing last week. Spicer had repeatedly ignored questions from Acosta and chided him in a tense off-camera exchange on Monday. Quote, "There's no camera on, Jim," Inquirer said as Costa shouted questions at him. CNN has displayed chyrons at the bottom of the screen accusing the president of lying and is airing a television ad with footage of anchors lecturing White House officials and music about Trump being impeached. Earlier this year, CNN refused to run a Trump campaign ad because it cast the mainstream media as, quote, fake news, end quote. The network had absorbed withering criticism from the right for its relentless focus on Russia and overwhelming coverage of Trump. A Harvard study found that CNN's coverage of Trump was negative 93% of the time over the course of his first 100 days in office. CNN has also taken a hit from controversies. It cut ties with comedian Kathy Griffin for taking a photo with a false severed head meant to look like Trump. CNN also canceled a series with documentary makers Reza Aslan after he cursed at the president over Twitter. CNN also recently had to walk back a report authored by its top network talent, including anchor Jake Tapper and political analyst Gloria Borges, stating that former FBI Director James Comey would refute Trump's claims that he was not the target of an investigation. In testimony before the Senate Intel Committee, Comey confirmed that he had told Trump 3 times that he was not the target of an investigation. Quote, "I think it's the day when the left rules over even coming up with the phrase news, because now we have the evidence," end quote, Trump advisor Sebastian Gorka said Tuesday on a Bart podcast. Quote, "We have the consequences of the symptomatic generation of fake news happening at the epicenter of the places that was producing the most of it," end quote. The CNN source responded, quote, "They've made it fairly clear that they view this as a war. We view it as determination to truth and hold the powerful accountable, regardless of how difficult they try to make it," end quote. So, there you have it, folks. Trump and the mainstream media are going head to head. There ain't much other way to put it. I would like to see CNN's White House press pass removed. I would like to see bankrupt. See Ted Turner go bankrupt. Matter of fact, for even coming up with something like this. Probably a state funded. The only thing that's keeping it afloat right now, for all I know, it's nothing but a propaganda network. It's no wonder there's people going around saying CNN is ISIS and all this. This article is from the New York Post. Faced $100 billion lawsuit over Russia story. The specter of a $100 million suit scared CNN into retracting a poorly reported story that Slim, an ally of President Trump's enforcing out the staffers responsible for it, the Post has learned. The cable network's coverage of Trump's transition team member Anthony Scaramucci came amid federal scrutiny of corporate parent Time Warner's pending purchase by AT&T and the widespread belief among media execs that CNN President Jeff Zucker could survive a merger. CNN immediately caved after Scaramucci, a figure and frequent network guest, foul and to take legal action, sources said Tuesday. Scaramucci got an unusual public apology, but still hired a top Manhattan lawyer to put further pressure on CNN and quote his interest in his matter, end quote, one source said. Sources also said the three journalists responsible for the retracted story, reporter Tom Frank, editor Eric Lichtblau, Lex Harris, who headed the CNN Investigates unit, were urged to resign. They called them in and said they'd pay them out their contracts, but they should leave immediately, one source said, end quote. Zucker was facing a high profile suit from Scaramucci while the U.S. Justice Department weighs the proposed $85.4 billion media merger. Meanwhile, a CNN insider said staffers are furious at, quote, having lost the moral high ground because of this story, end quote. Sources said that Zucker tried to rally his staff during a Tuesday morning conference call. Zucker stressed that this issue was a lapse in editorial standards, and it was a lesson to all reporters and editors to continue to strive for strong, accurate reporting, a source said. End quote, a source said. At last week's Lions Festival in France, where Zucker boasted the viewers trust CNN, quote, more than ever, end quote, rumors that the rife that he'd be out of a job if the AT&T deal goes down, quote. It's not just Jeff Zucker, all Time Warner executives are anxious about if they will survive the merger, end quote, a media source said Tuesday. Quote, what is interesting is that the AT&T execs who will decide who goes and who stays are AT&T CEO Randall Stevenson and AT&T Entertainment Group CEO John Stank, who have a very good relationship with the current administration, end quote. Trump, a fierce critic of CNN, publicly opposed the merger during the campaign, sources said. Scaramucci, a frequent guest on CNN to defend the president, was treated like a star at Saturday's wedding of Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and Louise Linton of Washington, D.C. Quote, everyone at the White House has been high-fiving each other over Anthony's success and embarrassing CNN, end quote, Indy said. Quote, Trump is thoroughly enjoying this, and Anthony got endless slaps on the back at Steve's wedding, end quote. The retraction story was based on a single anonymous source claiming the Senate Intel Committee was probing ties between the administration and a Russian government-owned investment fund. The story posted on CNN.com on Thursday also claimed the Treasury Department was believed to be investigating Scaramucci over a purported January 16th meeting with Fund's Director General. In an editor's note posted late Friday, CNN said the story had been deleted from the for not meeting, quote, editorial standards with the network, later revealing a, quote, breakdown, end quote, in person betting and typically involves, quote, fact checkers, standards, experts, and lawyers, in quote. Woman Huckabee Sanders said today she wasn't sure if CNN's handling of the matter was quite good enough, end quote, for her boss, who went on a Twitter tirade against the news channel earlier in the day. Quote, I think that we have gone to a place where if media can't be trusted to report the news, then it's a dangerous place for America. And I think if that is the place that certain outlets are going, particularly for the purpose of spiking ratings, and if that's coming directly from the top, I think that's even more scary, end quote, she said. Quote, I think we should take a really good look at what we're focused on, what we are covering, and making sure that it's actually accurate and it's honest, she added, end quote. CNN's retraction of Scaramucci story was the latest in a string of recent embarrassments, including the firing earlier this month of, quote, Believer series host Reza Aslan after he called Trump a, quote, piece of shit, end quote, on Twitter. The network also fired comedian Kathy Griffin, longtime co-host of New Year's Eve coverage, over a photo that showed her posing with a prop resembling Trump's bloody severed head, and had owned up to the story that incorrectly predicted what fired FBI Director James Comey would testify about before Congress. CNN did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Following Friday's apology, Scaramucci tweeted that, quote, CNN did the right thing. Apology accepted. Everyone makes moving on, end quote. On Tuesday, he retweeted a message from CNN, quote, reliable sources, end quote, Brian Stelter, saying that, quote, nothing in my story should be taken to imply that Scaramucci is under investigation, end quote, as well as a meme portraying Trump as Batman driving the Batmobile. The story also shows Vice President Mike Pence as Robin holding the, quote, bat phone, end quote, and saying, quote, sorry he can't talk right now, he's busy winning. But that's the end of that story. From the New York Post, written by Emily Smith, June 27th, 2017, 8:25 p.m. Phones are open, folks. If y'all want to give me a call this morning, you can see 524-0047. and 26 minutes. I knew this was going to be a long, but I'll stick with it. It's over here. I'll get all this news out to y'all. This comes from thehill.com. Senate Intel asked 21 states to publicize election hacking. The Senate Intel Committee election officials in 21 states public information about Russian efforts to hack their election systems during the 2016. The panel's top Democrats said on Wednesday. The request was made in a letter sent last week, quote, to all relative state election officials, end quote, from Senator Richard Burr, Republican of North Carolina, and Mark Warner, Democrat of Virginia. The panel's chairman and vice chairman, respectively, Warner revealed in his prepared report on global election interference, quote, I do not see how Americans are made safer when they don't not know. Let me start that over. I messed that up badly. Quote, I do not see how Americans are made. They do not know which election systems Russia tried to hack, end quote, Warner said. Department of Home Security officials last week revealed that Russian hackers targeted election-related systems in 21 states leading up to Election Day. But officials would not disclose which states were targeted, citing the need to protect the confidentiality of the states affected. Some lawmakers have expressed frustration at the department's reticence, arguing that it makes more difficult to prevent such attacks in the future. This is why I have asked the Department of Homeland Security to share with the committee the names of 21 states they testified last week were attacked by Russian hackers. Quote. Warner said, adding that he has to and spoken with Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly on the matter. Quote, as the Oversight Committee for All Intelligence Issues, the committee is entitled to have this information, end quote. The Obama administration had previously revealed that the voter database in Arizona and Illinois were breached by foreign-based hackers. It's unclear whether all the remaining systems were successfully breached. Quote, we need to work through a process so state election officials have the security clearance to at least be read in, end quote, Warner said, saying that the top official from neither Indiana nor Wisconsin could judge whether they were among the 21. We need to work together through a process so state election officials have the security clearance. I didn't read that. I'm sorry. Officials have said there is no doubt Russia was behind the attacks, but the impacted systems were not involved in a vote counting. Folks, I don't know if this is going to come out, but as you may or may not have heard on some of my prior episodes, I've been telling y'all for about 2 months now that the only hacking that was done was the Department of Homeland Security and the NSA. And I would say that the DNC have operatives in both, and the CNN thing. I've been trying to tell y'all that for ever since I've been starting this show, maybe even before. Yeah, I saw that coming a mile away. A blind man. That. I mean, listen, I don't put a lot of faith in nobody. Okay, I just know that Trump didn't collect the Russians. I mean, yeah, I voted for Trump, but tell you what, I got a whole nother conspiracy theory on my mind. One that would blow, I'd say, 3/4 of Americans away. And I'm not fully 100% certain that this whole thing has been a conspiracy or not. When I'm able to make a conclusive statement about what I think happened and all that, I will share that with the rest of y'all. In the meantime, I will keep working on studying this information. But that's just all I'm going to say on that. It's super big. It's way, way, way over anybody's head. This shit's way over Alex Jones' head, if that tells you anything. It's so unbelievable that he will be the first to say that it's not real. Okay, so I'm not even gonna eat anything else. I'm just gonna keep on studying and see if I can find out any major details surrounding what I'm talking about. And when I make major findings with you, my audience, you have my word. This article was from Breitbart, saying that CNN has 17 million fake followers, I think it was. Fake news, fake followers. Twitter audit reports CNN has 17 million fake Twitter followers. According to Twitter's audit.com, nearly 50% of the followers on CNN verified Twitter accounts are of CNN's millions of followers on their verified Twitter account. Over 17 million, or 48%, are fake, according to Twitter audit. According to Twitter audit, the site determined the quality and score of real and fake followers by taking a, quote, sample up to 5,000 or more if you subscribe to Pro. Twitter followers for a user calculated score for each follower. The score is based on a number of tweets, date, the last tweet, and ratio users to friends. Twitter audit states that each result are not definitive, but do not provide insight into whether a Twitter account gained followers through illegitimate means. Quote, we used these scores to determine whether any given user is real or fake. Of course, the scoring method is not perfect, but it is a good way to tell if someone with lots of followers is likely to have increased their follower count by inorganic, fraudulent, or dishonest means. That was just a little something that kind of tied into what I'm talking about this morning. So I just thought I'd read it to y'all. Again, folks, if y'all want to call the show this morning, I'd love to have you on. The number 276-524-0047. Hang on, folks, I'll get right back to that article right now. I'm letting it load. Amsterdam steroids. Las Vegas dispensaries for Saturday start of recreational sales. This article comes from LasVegasSun.com. Written by Chris Q. Dallas. Wednesday, June 28th, 2017 at 2 a.m. The Oregon-based pharma dispensary began humbly as a medicine marijuana boutique serving a small portion of Portland with special pot products for the better part of the year. But when recreational sales began on October 1st, 2015, owner Sam Haywood saw his customer base increase tenfold overnight as hundreds of buyers flooded into a 1,200 square foot dispensary accustomed to serving fewer than several dozen patients a day. Quote, one day we were a small pharmacy serving only medical patients, and then we were a busy retailer, end quote, Haywood said. He went on to say, fascinating and unusual to say the least, end quote. Pharma was one or more than 100 dispensaries across Oregon to start recreational sales that day, the majority of which loaded up on staffers and inventory to handle lines with scores and eager local and out-of-state marijuana buyers. Fueled by one of the world's largest tourism industries, Nevada is preparing to do the same on July 1st. A May report published by Governor Brian Scandoval Task Force on Marijuana estimates that up to 63% of recreational buyers will be tourists. Quote, everything we need shows that the millennials are very pro-marijuana and that's the new market push, end quote, said Nevada State Senator Tick Seegerbloom, a longtime marijuana advocate. Quote, this is a game changer for Las Vegas and tourism here as far as I'm concerned, end quote. He added, quote, Amsterdam on steroids, end quote. Essence Medical Dispensary owner Armin Yamenadijuan is one of 37 Las Vegas Valley's applicants to receive an early start license to begin recreational sales on Saturday. His dispensary is the closest to the Strip, right on Vegas Boulevard north of Sahara Avenue. The dividing line between the Strip and downtown Las Vegas. Yemendijuan, whose other dispensary on Tropicana Avenue near Jones Boulevard also received an early start license, said his facility stocked up on more than 3 months worth of marijuana flower, edibles, and concentrates to serve the current medical market and keep pace with expected brisk recreational sales. Yamaninji will say his name. His location near the Strip, which he serves more than 200 daily customers, but still loses money as a medical-only facility, figures have some of the largest lines. An average of about 40,000 people a day pass by the dispensary, according to a 2015 Clark County report on pedestrian traffic. He estimated that his clientele would increase, quote, by 2 to 3 times, end quote. Quote, it's a historic moment, and I think the growth will be both immediate and gradual, end quote. Yamin Dijuan said, quote, we're ready to go and very excited, end quote, following a Carson City judge's ruling last week that all distribution of the plant from cultivation and production to dispensaries must be carried out only by licensed liquor distributors beyond July 1st. Dispensary owners were using the last week of medical-only sales to get as much weed into their stores as possible. None of the existing suppliers are liquor distributors. Quote, we have to be agile and adjust as necessary, end quote, said Adam Denmark Cohan of Jordan Premium Canada's dispensary in Las Vegas. Quote, we haven't gone crazy, but we do anticipate an increase in customers, end quote. Cohen's dispensary at Desert Inn and McLeod Drive aims to serve locals and tourists despite the location away from the more popular tourist areas. Whatever this weekend's outcome, he said he wanted to make sure he was ready, loading up on inventory and beefing up staff and security. In the first weeks of the recreational sales in Colorado in 2014, dispensaries watched over the shelves empty and marijuana prices skyrocketed as vendors failed to keep up with consumer demand, said Neil Demers of Denver's Diego Pellicer Dispensary. Quote, it took 8 to 10 months for supply to catch up and the market to level out, end quote, he said. Buyers are still prohibited by state law from consuming marijuana except at private residences, meaning those anxious to smoke or eat their weed products right away must wait until they can. Metro Laura Metzer said. Smoking alongside dispensaries at a casino or even in a parked car could result in a $600 fine driving under the influence of marijuana could also earn driver's license suspension or drivers a fine of to $1,000 and jail time, even for a first offense, Meltzer said. Metro Police Officer Larry Hadfield said police assistance for crowd and traffic control similar to that seen during the grand opening of popular restaurants like Chick-fil-A had not requested by Las Vegas dispensaries as of last week. North Las Vegas police officer Aaron Patty said his department also had not received any such request. Dispensary owners indicated they would have added security to handle the opening day crowds. Quote, anything to make sure the first day goes smoothly. Yaman Dijian said, quote, we want to provide legitimate businesses and that we're in this for the long haul. We've come a long way over the past few years and want to do this right, end quote. So there you have it. They're fixing to get high in Las Vegas. Everybody is, I believe. This is an article.com military option for North Korea being prepared for Trump, Master says. Just trying to find who wrote this. I don't see no name. This is published June 29th. There is a video for this. It'll ever come up. Believe it or not. I've been going for 2 hours and 5 minutes, believe it or not. This is going to be one of my longer episodes, looks like. I'll just give it just a second here. It should be on up. Give me a good silhouette going on, yeah. As soon as this news loads up, folks, I'll say it here, I'll say it again. Need any support from y'all I can get. If y'all could send me $1 or $2, send it to my website, bigalmorgan.wixsite.com/AlexMorganShow. Just go down to the PayPal link and click it, and just leave me whatever you can, and it'll be greatly appreciated. Donate $40 or more, I will give you a free t-shirt of the size of your cue. It will be black and you will be satisfied. I don't know about like the double extra large. If you want a double extra large, you may have to leave like $45. That way I will come out of the picture. But yeah, they're really nice. They're black. The ones I got coming right now are black. They've got some art on them and some graphics, some ledgers. This video still ain't loaded. Let me try to see if this page will reload. But if you do donate, again, $40, I will send you a t-shirt of your chosen size, medium, well, medium, large, extra large, a minimum donation of $40. If you want a double X or triple extra large, I'll have to charge you about $45, but just
are hoping the plight of North Korean people will find its way on.
I'll get back to you. Let me finish. Okay. If you do donate, send me an email with your name, address, phone number, and your t-shirt size, and I will get that out to you the very next day. The t-shirts haven't arrived yet though. As soon as they do, I will on a show or a video or something, and that way all of you can see them. But here's this episode, or here's this video, I'm sorry.
Agenda of the talks in Washington today and tomorrow. If you have been to North Korea, as we have several times over the past several years, the geopolitical challenge of the regime is very evident. We've witnessed parades of missiles and military. Of course, the leader, Kim Jong-un, president. Also, though, in the showcase capital of Pyongyang, despite signs of economic improvement, there are a lot of signs of what the experts say is the continuing oppression of the North Korean people by this regime. In our first-hand observations and our guarded brief interviews with the residents, you can't help get the sense they have little control of what they do or what they say. Add to this vast political prisons, tens of thousands facing torture and force. We've heard about that again this week here in the UK. Defector Kim Jong-il, he said that these camps are even more deadly now with the new regime. Take a listen.
Many people expected that Kim Jong would do something different, but what he's doing in North Korea is worse than his father. So many people are disappointed and have no hope.
As the defector explained to us, as we have seen to some degree again in our time there, it can now to try to flee the country as to stay inside. And yes, the death of the American student Otto Warmbier, Shannon, also hopefully focusing the minds of those talking in the White House today and tomorrow on not just the nukes, not those, but the North Korean people. Back to you.
Very important conversations today. All right, Greg, thank you very much.
So there you have it. We don't know exactly what they're planning, what they're even thinking at this point, but we know that preparing for some kind of military action. I guess this is depending on what North Korea does. The outrage in Washington over North Korea has caused the death last week of U.S. University student Otto Warmbier. He had spent 17 months in detention in totalitarian for stealing a propaganda poster and returned home this month in coma. 3 other Americans and 6 South Koreans are still being held in the North. That's awful, folks. I want everybody to pray for those people. Pray that somehow that they'll get to come home and see their family. Because that's just a bad place to die. They wants to die in a foreign country. There ain't nobody wants to die with a bunch of strangers looking at them. I mean, there ain't nobody wants to die as far as that goes, but I do know this much. I would say that the majority of people, when they die, they want to be with their families. They want to be in no rat hole in North Korea. You know, Dennis Rodman's best friend, you know, making them be tortured and making them suffer any more than what they have to. I had a video a while ago that I was wanting to show where Dennis Rodman was being interviewed, and he was just talking about the stuff that him and Kim Jong would do. They would like play sports together, go horseback riding. He talked, they just, you know, had fun all the time. Let's listen to our. Well, this is old. This is very old. I thought this was never. Let's not listen to our president. Let's see if I can find that video. Yeah, I think it looks like it.
Here's President Trump. After
That's not here.
This morning, Dennis Rodman is on familiar soil. He's in Pyongyang, North Korea. The former NBA star and Celebrity Apprentice alum arrived a few hours ago. He's been to the country at least 4 times before, and his visit comes as tensions are high, to say the least, between Washington and Pyongyang.
4 Americans, so stand by on that number, are currently being detained in North Korea's fire missiles this. Yesterday, U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis called North urgent threat to national. Live from Beijing, CNN international correspondent Matt actually caught up with Dennis Rodman on his way to North Korea. Matt.
That's right, John. We were able to catch up with him at the airport. You go to North Korea, you have to transit to Beijing, and so it was a convenient place. When we got a tip that Dennis was coming through to go to North Korea, we figured we'd at the airport to ask him, well, what exactly he would plan on doing while inside the country. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
Yeah, listen to this.
Are you here just as a private citizen? President Trump at all? I'm pretty sure he's pretty much happy at the fact that I'm over here trying to accomplish something that we both need. He's trying to open the door. Trying to open the door. That's it.
Are you going to talk at all about the detained Americans?
Well, that's not my purpose right now.
And there were a couple answers that Rodman answered. We asked him specifically, is he bringing a message directly from the Trump administration. He would that question. We also asked him if he planned on meeting specifically with the leader of North Korea. He would answer that question either. We should note the State Department has said that they are aware of the fact that Rodman is in North Korea. They said they wished him the best of luck. However, they said he is traveling strictly as a private citizen, not in any official capacity. So it doesn't appear that Dennis Rodman will Trump administration in what could very easily be called one of the great diplomatic challenges over the last 20 or 30 years. But one interesting, Dennis Rodman is unique in the sense that he does have a personal relationship with Kim Jong-un. He's been there several times since 2013. And he also knows Donald Trump, being on the celebrity of 2 different times.
Yeah.
And that's quite unique.
He certainly didn't say, well, I've spoken to the White House about this. You know, he sort of skirted around that question of yours a little bit. Let me ask you, how long, do we know how long this trip is, how long he's supposed to be there?
He's supposed to stay until Saturday. Exactly what he's going to be doing while there, we're not sure. You know, the last time he was really quite busy. He had a documentary crew following him around. He actually led a rendition of Happy Birthday to Kim Jong-un while he was there. We're not sure if it's going to be just as high profile this particular visit. His entourage was much smaller this time as compared to last time. But we'll keep an eye on North Korean state media and see what comes out.
Indeed, we will. Thank you very much.
Tweeted, headed back to North Korea. Thank you. Potcoin. Thank you for permission. I'll discuss when I return.
Pretty sure he's pretty much happy at the fact that I'm over here. Okay. To accomplish something that we both need.
This video was also from about 2 weeks ago. Dennis Rodman gives Kim Jong-un a Donald Trump book.
All you guys should be proud of yourself because, you know, a lot of people really don't try to give you guys credit because it's such a small country and not too many people from North Korea can compete. But for you guys to come back here in your country with a medal, that's
my God, did y'all see how much taller he was than those North Korean players? He was like 3 foot taller than they were. Let's see what this one is. William Haynes TV.
Do you want to be a hero? Because you can.
That's
what you have to do is...
Okay, here's
Let's be honest. It's a little weird that Kim Jong-un likes Dennis Rodman so much. Dennis Rodman has returned to North Korea. Didn't know, North Korea isn't usually too hospitable to Americans. They don't let us go too deep into their country, because of reasons. But Kim Jong-un has extended his arms to...
Get into that anymore. We all know that Dennis Rodman must get off on being in a communist country and get off being with a dictator. There's just any normal person to be friends with Kim Jong-un. Okay, that's weird. They should actually arrest Dennis Rodman for possibly treason, especially at this time when we're so close to a nuclear standoff with these crazy little people. And he's just, traveling over there anytime he, feels froggy. And you think, if Dennis Rodman was a bit of a decent person who believed in America, believed in Constitution, and believed in the freedom that we have as a people here, he would try to influence Kim Jong-un to let those prisoners go. God knows his big AWS wouldn't want to be shackled in some hole in North Korea, so just like I said, there ain't nobody that wants to die away from their family and loved ones. There ain't nobody wants to die from North Korea, and I'm not even sure that they want to die in North Korea, Anyway. This is my last article this morning. It's from Breitbart. Mitch McConnell wants a revised Senate health care bill by Friday. Later, Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, wants a revised version of the Better Care Reconciliation Act, BCRA, by Friday to prep for a vote before the August recess. McConnell hopes to finalize changes to the Senate health care bill so that he can changes to the Congressional Budget Office too. The CBO reported that 22 million more Americans would not have health insurance over the next 10 years under the bill. The BCRA would also reduce the deficit by $321 billion by 2026. CBO send a new CBO score to be revised by BCRA by the same time the Senate returns from the 4th of July recess, allowing 2 weeks for Senate leadership to whip the votes necessary to pass the bill through the upper chamber before Congress leaves Washington, D.C. for the summer. The later pulled the bill's vote, which has slated for this week. There was not enough for the bill to pass. Remain sure that provision the Senate leadership will try to revise, or whether the bill's revisions will take a more moderate or conservative approach. Senate leadership has to rally at least 5 senators to vote for the BCRA. However, there remains an even split between moderate and opposition to the bill. Senators Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, and Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, Mike Lee, Republican from Utah, and Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin, came out against the bill last Thursday, arguing that they could vote for the bill if McConnell included more conservative reforms to it. Senator Paul met with Donald Trump on Tuesday and said that the president remains willing to negotiate on the Senate bill, although he wonders whether McConnell wants to negotiate. Senator Paul released a letter he sent to Majority Leader McConnell to specific forms he would like to see the BCRA, which include allowing small business individuals their own health insurance pools, restricting the BCRA's tax credit scheme, and eliminating the BCRA's continuous insurance coverage mandate. Paul concluded in his letter, quote, "I hope that this aids your understanding of my current position on the Medicare reform bill and changes that might be made to it make good on Republicans' promise to stop Obamacare and provide true health reform," end quote. Although some analysts remain skeptical about the bill's chances of passing before the August recess, other sources say that Republican leadership has a better grasp of what senators want at a meeting with President Trump at the White House on Tuesday. And we hear from President Trump. It says, quote, "I just finished a great meeting with the Republican senators concerning health care. They really want to get it right, unlike Obamacare." That was tweeted at 6:27 p.m. on June 27th, 2017. But that's pretty much the news. I really do hope that all of you all visit CNNleaks.com and you scroll down not even a half a page and you'll come to the big red CNN link. What they're wanting you to do, there's hours upon hours upon hours of recordings of tapes, and they want you to download them and go through and listen to them, and if you can, transcribe what you can and help them cipher through all the information. Folks, this is a hard fought information war that we're in. I know there's been a lot of violence here lately. especially the shooting on the congressman and stuff, and just everybody. Along with everybody, I condone all forms of violence. I don't think violence gets us nowhere, and I hope I remember. But just keep that in mind. I'm gonna let y'all go. Again, get to my site, bigalmorgan.wixsite.com. Email morganshow@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. See y'all.